like to call this City Council Finance Committee meeting to order, and I'd ask the clerk, Ms. Washington, to please call the roll.
Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thank you. And we have three pieces of legislation before us. The first one is introductory number 326, authorizing the cancellation of refunds of erroneous taxes and charges. I'll entertain any questions or comments around introductory number 326.
Move it.
It's been moved by Councilmember Patterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second it. Yeah. It's been seconded by Vice President Lightfoot. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
I don't see Councilmember Harris in here, so the clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 327 is authorizing an amendatory agreement with CipherWorks, Inc. for online employee training. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved by Councilmember Patterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Scott. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And introductory number 345 is authorizing an agreement for expert witness services for the law department. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Madam Clerk.
Did I hear Councilmember Harris in there?
Yes, if you could please enter the record, my vote for introductory 326 and 327 as a yes.
Okay, thank you. The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there is no more business to come before the Finance Committee, I will adjourn this committee. Thank you.
At this time, I call the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Lupian.
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Present, ma'am.
President Scott.
Here. All right. Introductory number 328, authorizing the sale of real estate. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupian, seconded by President Scott. And now we vote. All in favor of the item? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 329, amendatory agreements, Northeast Quadrant Historical Resources Survey. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupian, seconded by Vice President Lightfoot. And now we vote. All in favor of the item? Aye.
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 All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 330, zoning map amendment 17, 19, 25, 29, 35, 37 to 39, 45 to 47, 51, and 55 through 99 Federal Street. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have one, Councilmember Patterson.
Absolutely. Councilmember Gruber.
Thank you, Mayor Warren, Commissioner Kirkmeyer. I apologize for not being able to get questions to you prior to this. Just a kind of philosophical question. The next three pieces are all pretty big rezonings, and then the one right after that is approving dollars for the full rezoning. And really excited about the rezoning and lining up to the comp plan. What is the reasoning for doing these three before the bigger rezoning?
So, as you know, we come to council, pretty frequently to do this when we have to merge a project that doesn't fit with the current district. Since the comprehensive plan was adopted, our strategy has been to incorporate that mindset around what we foresee the new code to represent in terms of a map. So we're kind of doing that as we go until we have that perfect roadmap forward. But there's no doubt that these three particular projects serve the individual circumstances of both the area and the purpose for changing the code right now. So, the code might take 1.5 years to complete. The map might take a little longer than that. Who knows? We're hoping not so. But we don't want to stop progress that's in line with what we foresee and appropriate based on the dynamics of the individual circumstances.
Got it. So you see alignment between these three and the overall comp plan and zoning rewrite, but the reality is there's urgency to be done to make these three happen now, to not wait for the bigger rewrite.
Yeah, to make projects come to fruition and keep progress going, yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing no questions, I need a motion and a second.
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Lightfoot, seconded by?
Councilmember.
Second by Councilmember Lupien. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 331, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classifications of properties on Culver Road. Those properties being 663 through 665, 667 through 669, 671 through 673, 679, 695 through 697, time for bicep focus, 701 through 703, and 705 through 715 Culver Road. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I'd just like to make a comment.
Councilmember Lupien.
This was actually one of the first things that got sent to me on council, and just wanted to note that the person submitting this, requesting this change did a lot of work with the neighborhood association and the homeowners to make sure that they were on board.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupien, seconded by
Second.
Vice President Lightfoot. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 332, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of properties on Shear Street and on Craig Street. Those properties being 15, 19, 23, 41, and 45 Shear Street, 68, 74, 78, 84, 88, and 106 Craig Street. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Councilmember Lupien.
Commissioner Kirkmeyer, can you tell me if there's any downsides to having, for the homeowner being, having a residential property in an M1 district, if any?
No, there's no downside from a zoning perspective. The district does permit the residential use in that district, so it doesn't impact them in any way.
Thank you.
All right, no other questions or comments? We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupien, seconded by
Second.
Vice President Lightfoot. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 333, authorizing funding and agreements for the zoning code and map update. Questions, comments, or concerns on this item? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by President Scott, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Lupien. All right, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 334, authorizing the sale of city-owned parcels and a payment in lieu of taxes agreement for the L2P West Side Housing Project. Just a comment on my part. I love the Urban League. I've loved the Urban League for longer than I'm willing to admit in this room. I really love the Urban League because when they do affordable housing, it actually is always affordable. It's of high quality. The folks who build it tend to be local. Nothing but good things to say about it. My only grumble is that it's not in the Northeast, but I'm working on that too. Any questions?
I have one, Chair Patterson.
Yes, Councilmember Gruber.
I'd echo what you say about the Urban League, the project over there on, was that on Hudson up there?
Yeah.
The Jefferson
Hudson and Jefferson.
looks incredible.
Mhm.
So speaking of which, I just want to say, you know, amid all the other things we're focused on as a council, it's incredible, and kudos to Mayor Warren and Commissioner Kirkmeyer and the teams for having 3 consecutive excellent pieces of affordable housing legislation coming to us, and really creative projects too. So thank you and kudos. The question that I have, and again, I'm sorry I didn't put this in agenda review, but are any of these or are any of these projects really dependent upon state funding that is at all in jeopardy because of the shortfall of cash at the state right now? Or do we feel confident in these happening on the timeline that has been kind of proposed to us?
All of the projects, I'm sorry, Gary, Commissioner Kirkmeyer. Our understanding is all of the projects are fully funded, and there will be, I spoke to Council President and Vice President yesterday. We have one more item that's coming this month as well. We're just finalizing that. We believe that we need to get these projects in because of that very reason. The money is available now. We've been assured that these projects will be funded, and we want to make sure that these housing projects go forward because we do know that many people are going to be struggling in the next couple of months as it pertains to housing.
Oh, Jesus.
Thanks.
Unfortunately true. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Loopy and seconded by Council President Scott. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 335, authorizing the sale of city-owned parcels and payment in lieu of taxes and loan agreements for the Pueblo Nuevo 2 project. Comment, man, Ibero, they just work, man. They get it done. Okay. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, motion in a second.
So moved.
Moved, Councilmember Loopy, and seconded by
Second.
Council Vice President Lightfoot. Now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Introductory number 336, authorizing the sale of city-owned parcels and loan and payment in lieu of taxes and loan agreements for the Zion Hill Senior Apartments Project. Comment, churches. One of my favorite places in DC. They got the best chicken wings in the world. I go by it every time I'm in DC. I go there, and it's in the Shaw neighborhood. Neighborhood's been gentrifying for years, so I'm going there, going to get my chicken wings so I can eat and go to sleep. And I say to a sister on the street, I said, "Hey, I noticed this neighborhood's gentrifying. How come y'all still here?" And she says to me, "The church built a bunch of houses over here, and that's why there's still Black people over here." And, you know, whether it's Black people, brown people, what people, folks getting pushed out of their neighborhood is a bad thing. And creating affordable housing is a wonderful thing. And it's always good to see the faith community do it. So any other comments or questions? Yes, Council Vice President Lightfoot.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Patterson. I just wanted to ask a question. This project's moving along, and I just want to get kind of an update of after this, where does this take us for next steps with this particular project?
We can get you a roadmap forward. We'll submit that to council to give you an idea of where we think it's going. We'll touch base with the developer and get a better understanding of the roadmap.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
Move it.
Moved by Council Vice President Lightfoot, seconded by President Scott. All in favor, now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye. All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
All right. Introductory number 337. Authorize agreement for the building block software lease. Gotta love building blocks to give it to you free and then they come back and pick your pocket. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second. Moved by Council Vice President Lightfoot, seconded by Council Member Lupien. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item? Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
With there being no other business before this committee.
Actually,
we are-
Chair Patterson,
Sure,
can I say something quick?
sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, Councilmember Ortiz and I usually back and forth with the moving and the seconding, and I wanted to acknowledge that I'm missing her presence right now and wish her well.
Fair enough. All right. So being no other business before this committee, we are adjourned.
I'll wait to see Commissioner Jones before there he is. Hey, Commissioner Jones.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm ready to call the Parks and Public Works Committee to order. Can the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Pio,
Present.
Vice President Lightfoot.
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
I think Commissioner Jones, is it safe to say that this is the shortest Parks and Public Works Committee you've ever overseen in your tenure as commissioner?
Yes, indeed, this is.
Well, we have two pieces of legislation. We're going to start with introductory number 338, authorizing an agreement for the West Main Street Transportation and Placemaking Study. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
And introductory number 339, authorizing an agreement with New York State Department of Transportation to provide snow and ice control. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Commissioner, I actually just will ask a quick question on this. Has there been, obviously we know about the budget shortfall at the state level. Is there any concern about the support that we get from them or the work we do with them in terms of big Department of Transportation stuff? Is there any concern about anything being dropped?
There's been no indication as of today. I'm in constant communication with the regional director, Kevin Bush. We're in good standing, and we're working on projects, specifically projects involving our Rock the Riverway initiatives and other state initiatives. And just like the initiative that you just passed for West Main Street, that's moving forward.
Okay, thank you. There were no, I believe Councilmember Evans moved it. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
And that concludes the business of the Parks and Public Works Committee.
You know, Mitch, it just doesn't even feel right. Sure you don't want to go for like 10 more minutes?
Yeah, I was practicing my use of the word Marchicelli funds. I was really getting good at it, but
Good luck with that.
thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'll let folks get transition there. So BJ, let me know when we have what we need, please.
We don't have anyone in the waiting room, and I believe folks are in place.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Vice President Lightfoot,
Here.
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
President Scott.
Present, ma'am.
All right, so what we're going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, in lieu of all of the activity recently, the civil unrest and everything that we have around the race commission, the work that they're doing, and all of the reimagining of policing that we're embarking in these times that we're living in, these challenging times, I'm going to be holding items 340, 341, and 342 in committee this month, and we will be addressing items 343 and 344. So at this time, introduction number 344, authorizing funding for the rock music program. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
Move to
If not,
adopt.
I need a second.
That's 343, right?
343, items 340 to 342 are being held. We're
Yes,
starting with introductory number 343.
yes. I second it.
Councilmember Lightfoot, just one question. I'm confused on 343 about the steam engine or rock music. I see both things in the transmittal.
I believe Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Lightfoot, I know that you want to hold the top 3 items, but I just want to look at item number 341, which would allow us to fund, it's a receipt of grants for child safety seats, for us to be able to provide those through October 1st. And so I think that I would implore council to reconsider item number 341, which is really about pedestrian safety as well as car seats. I believe that it's from October 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. I understand council's position, but I do think that we need to look at all of these items individually and not collectively. And so I'm asking council to reconsider item number 341.
Okay, right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Right now, I'll revisit that when we finish item 343. I believe we have some discussion. It's been moved in second. We're having some discussion. There's a question on the floor by Councilmember Gruber. I think we have Commissioner Torres here who may be able to answer that question. Commissioner
I'm
Torres.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question. Go ahead.
So the steam engine reference on the item is because that's the category that we have this in for the CDBG funding that we utilize for this, but the program is rock music.
Okay, and so I mean, rock music's a great program. We've obviously approved this several years now. It's just now it's being categorized differently on the actual header of the legislation because of CDBG funds. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Then I second it. Then Councilmember Lightfoot.
I believe it was moved by Councilmember Lachey. I believe it was second by Councilmember Gruber. I think it was second already by Councilmember Scott or Vice President Scott. So at this time, it's already been moved in second. We were in the discussion. Are there all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Introductory passes. BJ, go ahead. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
So BJ, for a point of order here, do I have to move 341? Do I have to have a motion in a second to move 341 out of being held, or does that?
I would defer to the clerk or the corporation counsel, but I would believe that you could, you're still in committee, so you should be able to act on any item as the committee.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So at this time, we're gonna entertain introduction number 341. I need a authorizing the receipt and use of grants for the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee for 2 safety programs. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilperson Lupien.
So with the enforcement detail, I guess I'd just like to understand a little bit how that is conducted. Are they checking for enforcement of proper car seat installation, or does this have to do with speeding?
I believe we have someone here from law enforcement.
Yes, sir. Hi, this is Captain Mark Whiter from R&E. The enforcement is going to be for traffic violations in those targeted areas.
Yeah, so, even though, I hear the mayor talking about car seat installation, traffic stops have been used, have had negative consequences for people of our community, especially people of color. And in the light of, us reimagining policing, I personally, don't feel comfortable voting for it. I know I don't have a vote in the committee, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
I have a
All right.
comment.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Lightfoot, if that's okay.
Yes,
I want
sir.
to,
Councilman Peel.
thank you very much. Appreciate that. I want to thank Mayor Warren for pushing for this legislation because it's a big issue in the Northwest. 3 of the 4 streets are located in the Northwest, and it says 28% of all pedestrian involved crashes are just in those 4 streets. It's a huge issue. Just a couple houses down, neighbor's ex-husband, he's paralyzed because of that exact thing, because he was hit by speeding on Lake Avenue. So I really hope we push this through. It's a big need. We need the attention on there to slow down the traffic. I really appreciate us putting this through. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pio, for that. We know it's your district. We definitely want to take that under consideration. Any other questions, comments, and concerns? I am moving this out of being held, and we are going to have a vote on this tonight. If there's no other questions, comments, concerns, I'm going to entertain a motion.
I just have one follow-up. Councilmember Pio, not to downplay pedestrian safety, but I guess my question is law enforcement, traffic enforcement the way to deal with it? On my street, we've had 2 people die, but we're dealing with it with speed cushions and curb bump outs. So is there a design way to deal with this instead of law enforcement, which could potentially, put some people at risk?
I think that that's something that can be considered. However, at this point in time, we redid a number. We just repaired and paved and milled and resurfaced parts of Lake Avenue, parts of Dewey Avenue, and those are all state highways. And so those are not, we would have to get state approval to do or to redesign that in any way that would be considered pedestrian safety. And so it's not totally in our control. And so I just want the citizens of Rochester to know that there are many streets that are located in the city, but not repaired or that are not controlled necessarily by the city of Rochester. We would need to get state approval. And Lake Avenue is one of those streets. I believe Dewey Avenue is one of those streets. Goodman, is one of those streets. So many of our major highways or streets are state streets as well. And it's not something that we can do right away. Lake Avenue, in the last month, I've heard about 3 people being thrown from vehicles on Lake Avenue. And so pedestrian safety right now, this is the best way that we can do this. And we can talk about what to do going forward. But I think that this is something that is desperately needed. Actually, my assistant's stepson, thank God he was survived, but it was an accident on Lake Avenue where he almost lost his life. So I think that this is something that we should pay attention to. Making sure that kids are safely secured in car seats is also something that we should try to pay attention to as well. I understand the need to reimagine and the need to look forward, but I think that we must do it in a safe way, and a way that is also, a transition. So we can transition into a new way of life, but not necessarily stop everything that we're doing while we're transitioning.
I want to add to that too as well. I'm sorry.
Hold on, sir. Councilmember Patterson, and then we'll go back to Councilmember Peel.
Okay, so thank you, Vice President, Chairman Lightfoot, for bringing this item out. And, look, there's an even though it's not directly related to it, but there's an epidemic of speeding in our community. The requests I get from my constituents for speed bumps are such that if we put speed bumps on every street that asks for them, we wouldn't have streets. We would just have speed bumps. Look, I understand that there is a feeling a certain kind of way about the police, but let's not let that feeling preclude us from understanding that there is a need for the police, that there is actually a need for them to engage in enforcement, that there are some folks who only slow down when they see the police. So look, I get it. You feel a certain way. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody feels a certain kind of way, but there's still a need for the police. And we just can't, in my opinion, just look at something and just say, oh, police, no. We need to be thoughtful and considerate as we go forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Pio.
I want to say kind of the same thing. I agree with you, Mary. I know that there needs to be a change with policing. I agree with you on that, but we can't just stop what we're currently doing and wait till that comes into play. There needs to be like a meet in the middle. We need to sandwich it on both sides. Also, I agree with the curb outs and stuff like that, but it doesn't stop the motorcycles and four-wheelers that are going 100 miles down the street. It's reckless right now. It's really reckless in the Northwest, and we really need this.
At this time,
Vice President, I put just one thing.
Councilmember Gruber.
Just a really quick thing. I personally was under the impression that we were holding all these pieces. So I respect your decision to bring out a committee, and I'm happy to support that. I will vote affirmatively to take it out of committee, but prior to voting on Tuesday, I think I'm going to have some specific questions that I would just love to have your help getting answers to.
Sure, absolutely. At this time, I entertain a motion. Thank you. In a second.
That was Councilmember Harris.
I got that. I need a second.
I moved it.
Okay, you moved it. She seconded. I got you.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Introductory passes. Thank you.
Report enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
All right, introduction number 344, authorizing agreement for implementing the Parent Leadership Training Institute. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If none, I entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilperson Lupien.
I'll never miss an opportunity to plug PLTI. They're great.
Awesome. Any others? All right, entertain a motion.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Harris. I need a second. Second by Councilperson Gruber. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 4-0 into the record.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If there's no other business to come before the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee, we are adjourned.
Chair Lightfoot, can I actually make a request to speak?
Well, we just adjourned, so we could go ahead, make your request.
Yeah, I know we received an email that we were going to receive a bit of a briefing on the upcoming legislation for the facet, the addition to facet in terms of crisis response, and I wondered if that was something that we could talk briefly about.
Very briefly, Commissioner Torres or Mayor.
So I know that at the 3 o'clock briefing earlier today, we were supposed to talk about that, but time ran out for the crisis intervention services plan. The commissioner met with Councilmember Lupien and Councilmember Harris earlier today, who have both approved this plan. We believe that we have draft legislation that will be coming for council as a statement of necessity this month, hopefully either tomorrow or on Monday, that both the council president and I will have to sign off on. And so the crisis intervention services plan, I will turn it over to Commissioner Torres, but I just want council to know that, this is part of a team that we have been working on with Vice President Lightfoot on the gun violence initiative, and trying to bring out a response in order to have a consistent response for families that face themselves in crisis. I do want to, this past weekend, we did lose the life of a young man here in our city. This young man was the one that this council and I honored just last year for saving and running into a burning building to save a family. And him and his cousin did that. I will get his name. I thought I had his name readily available, but wanted to extend my condolences to his family and want to make sure that we have a comprehensive response, not only to gun violence, but to people that are suffering in our community. And so I am so thankful that we were already on the pathway to really responding to our residents in a unique way that would give them the hope and the consideration that we truly care about them and their success. And this allows us to be able to expand upon what we were already planning to do. And so asking council to support what the commissioner is putting forward so it can be a more comprehensive approach. And then we may be going even further depending on what the race commission outlines, but definitely wanted to note the young man that lost his life this weekend in our city due to gun violence. Commissioner Torres.
One second before Commissioner Torres. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for acknowledging that. I do have the name of that young man. I won't say it because I don't believe it's been presented out in public, and I don't want to say it before the family presents that. But we do know this family, the very well-known family in this city, and we're definitely going to prepare ourselves to do something significant for them at some point in time. But thank you for acknowledging that, Madam Mayor, and acknowledging the work that we've been doing on this path for the last couple of years. Commissioner Torres.
Yes, thank you. As both the mayor and Vice President Lightfoot have stated, we were in the final stages of a process to launch a comprehensive, coordinated homicide response team. This plan includes a mobile response that is inclusive of professionals, peers, and support personnel that was designed for the purpose of supporting victims' families, the neighborhood, communities at large in the wake of a homicide. And during that process, we did have lengthy conversations about the role of FACET and the role of victims assistance in this process as stakeholders, where some improvements could be made in their connection to the community, in their availability and their presence in this work. And so when charged with looking at how to expand that, we had the opportunity to think about some other national models. I'd like to thank Councilmember Lupien for inviting me to participate in learning about that last evening from some other organizations across the country that have implemented similar responses. We will be able to take this plan, which I believe you all have received a draft of, and be able to continue to refine this plan. But what we have in place, what we're asking for, is going to be not only the transition of the FACET and victims assistance functions, but the ability to use the structure we've created in the comprehensive homicide response team model, create a second team, and that team that will do the same mobile response will be focused on mental health, domestic violence, and other related crisis responses, and will include social work professionals, as well as a list of other stakeholders that we have included in that plan, and will continue to grow our protocols to ensure that we have a comprehensive community-wide response that we can ensure the residents who are affected by crisis receive connections, referrals, and transitions to services that they need. Making this transition, creating this plan will allow us to do this with a community-based focus and a community focus that sits outside of any law enforcement protocols or otherwise stated practices. So this is a part of what we were doing. This makes sense. We are going to be able to be prepared to move quickly because we were already down the line so far with the other plan. So we've been able to expand this plan thoughtfully and with all of the help from members of this council and community members as well. So you will see this legislation. We are asking for the commitment of the funds for the expansion so that we can make sure that we have a 24-hour team that we can have responding to city residents and city crisis, that we can evaluate, monitor, manage the key performance indicators, and have line of sight, as the mayor suggested, this continues to evolve in the community. So that's a brief overview of the report that you've received. And again, Councilmember Lupien and Councilmember Harris had a full debrief of this plan. And I certainly welcome any of their comments as well.
Just to update, I did Google search just to make sure I didn't. Darius Dillard is the young man's name. It is posted online. He was 19 years old, Darius Dillard. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to say, Councilperson Lupien, do we get the thumbs up on this?
I am very encouraged and heartened to know that this legislation is coming. It's very timely and responsive to this moment and what the community has been asking for. And I really believe that this will make a difference in saving lives and improving the quality of life for folks in our community. And I appreciate the opportunity to learn so much about the legislation that's coming and the program. And I just want to say that it would mean a lot to me, and I spoke with Councilmember Harris as well, if we would be allowed to co-sponsor this legislation, because I believe in it so much.
Councilmember Harris, thoughts?
I agree with and echo the comments made by Councilmember Mary Lupien, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of work that's been done and much more work to be done in the future, and I'm looking forward to it. And this is our vehicle to do it. So I echo those remarks and respectfully ask to co-sponsor. Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, y'all can't co-sponsor without putting my name on it too. All right, so any other questions, comments, or concerns?
There's only 9 councilmen. I was gonna say there's only 9.
You want to put everybody down? Are we riding together?
All 9 council members' name on it.
Are we riding together, y'all?
Vice President Lightfoot, this will be coming as a statement of necessity. I believe we can work together with our staff and team members, but I definitely want to give credit where credit is due to yourself, as well as Dr. DT Ogilvy, who has done an extraordinary job of working with Commissioner Torres, as well as her team. I want to commend her for really stepping in and leading the charge when it came time to look at the gun violence initiative and figuring out a path forward. We have been working on this for a long time, and this part of it coming together as well is something that we appreciate. And I think that this is going to be good for us to be able to do this comprehensively and together. And I know that you've also been working with Chief Laurent Singletary on this as well. And so I just want people to know that this is not something that started just a moment ago. This has been something that we have been working on for almost a year, that now is expanded into a more comprehensive approach because of what's happening right now. And I appreciate those people that have been on my team and working alongside Vice President Lightfoot to get this done, because this is going to be something that I know that our residents and the people that have suffered in our community in the past will be very, very proud of.
Thank you, Mayor, and you're absolutely right. There were a lot. This was a collaborative effort. The Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition and a lot of the members of the coalition, the community were partnerships. There was a lot of meetings, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication to this effort. And I would say also that this will potentially become a national model, because there are other cities that have been waiting for us to finish this, as we've been talking about this work in NLC across the country. So I'm just so excited that we're at this place, at this point, and that we can provide quality services to all of our citizens that are affected by trauma, that are affected by any type of crisis, and they'll get the proper response and a consistent response, meaning everybody gets the same response. So I'm very excited about that. I saw your hand, Mary, but I'm going to shut this down because we've been going for quite some time. I appreciate everybody. Huh?
That was applause.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. So blessings, everybody. We're Public Safety, Youth and Recreation is adjourned.
I just have one quick question about tomorrow. Are we doing a 3 p.m. briefing tomorrow or not?
Madam President?
No, we're not scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Are we done?
We're done.
5 o'clock public hearings, right?
Everybody have,
Are we on the same one for public hearings? Or are
5
we going to a
o'clock.
new?
Public hearings.
Public hearings.
Public hearings, 5 o'clock.
I will end the live stream now and we can re-live stream at 5 o'clock so that if folks need to take a break, feel free.
Still on this channel though, right?
Correct.